Championship for 2024.
Coors Light presents Ducks Game Day, an insider's preview of today's college football playoff game at the Rose Bowl between the Oregon Ducks and the Ohio State Buckeyes. Oregon Ducks football on 1080 The Fan is brought to you by Coors Light. Mountain Cold Refreshment. Choose chill. Celebrate responsibly. By Pacific Office Automation. Problem solved. By Mods PDX. The future of building is here. By ZoomCare. With more than 20 neighborhood clinics in Oregon and Southwest Washington, ZoomCare offers convenient access to same-day urgent and emergency care, plus an expanded primary care team, currently accepting new patients. Schedule or learn more at ZoomCare.com. Bellagio's Pizza. Dough and sauce made fresh 6 days a week, right here in Wilsonville, and proud to be serving Northwest communities since 1996. Order online or through the app. By Victorico's Mexican Food. Order Victorico's for your game day celebration, in-store or online for pickup or delivery at victoricos.com. Legends Casino Hotel in Toppenish, within winning distance. Audi Wilsonville, offering unmatched service to help you find the perfect car. Online at AudiWilsonville.com. Laurelhurst Market, more than just your friendly neighborhood steakhouse. Make your reservation today at laurelhurstmarket.com. By Unitas Community Credit Union. Join the team at Unitas Community Credit Union to help you reach your financial goals. And by Langdon Farms Golf Club. There's no better course in the Northwest for year-round golf. Book your tee time at LangdonFarms.com. Now, here are your hosts, Andy Johnson, Dusty Hara, and former Ducks and NFL star Anthony Newman with Ducks Game Day on the Odyssey app and 1080 The Fan.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? Happy Oregon Ducks Game Day to you. Happy New Year, everybody. Editor Johnson, Anthony Newman hanging out with you for the next 2 hours. Did we have a good New Year's Eve, Q?
Oh, yes. It's just relaxing.
Relaxing and low-key?
Yeah, we had the kids home. Before
Happy
during
New
Christmas.
Year, bitches.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everybody.
Yes, really. But other than that, it was just relaxing.
Yeah.
Just kicking back.
Did you make it to midnight?
Barely.
You barely got there. They're like,
I dozed before. And then
somebody wakes you up like, hey, you got 10 minutes, Dad. Let's go.
Yeah.
It's almost New Year's Eve.
I was trying to fool the kids with the Eastern feed.
Ah, the 9 o'clock one?
Yes,
that's a good idea.
And I was like, but it didn't happen.
Yeah.
They fooled me.
They caught it. They knew.
Yeah, they know. Even on ABC and stuff, they didn't do it like they used to. You used to have the 9 o'clock one, and it's like, oh, no, we're just going to keep showing you crappy musical artists.
It's just go reruns here now at this point.
It was funny during my playing days. I was playing. We were playing against the Chiefs, and we were in Kansas City, and it was 3 hours ahead or whatever. And I was calling the kids. And it was happy, we have Happy New Year's in Kansas City. And so the wife faked the kids out and said, yeah, it's New Year's. And so they're celebrating. It's only 9 o'clock in the West Coast.
Yeah.
But they're celebrating thinking it's 12 o'clock. And I'm yelling on the phone, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Good night. Have a good night's sleep. Oh, that was a good
story,
one. That was a good one.
All right, now everybody go to bed. It's 9:30.
Everybody
go to bed.
Yep. Go to bed.
That's all you need, man.
Yeah.
Well, Happy New Year, everybody. And boy, oh boy, did we start it with a bang today. 3 games in the college football playoff. Obviously, Oregon and Ohio State, round 2 coming up, 2 o'clock right here on the Fans. We'll be with you up until noon. The Texas and Arizona State game is just about to kick off. So for everybody tuning in, thank you for joining us this morning. We'll keep you up to date on that game and any highlights that are happening throughout it, as one of those 2 teams will be advancing to the Cotton Bowl. And if Oregon is to win today against Ohio State, they will get the winner of Texas and Arizona State. But let's just start, Anthony, man. Like, we got a million things to get into, looking back at the last game, how it's going to impact this game. Tons of questions. What's the general mood? What's the general feeling as we go into, I made the analogy earlier this week that I kind of felt more like an NFL fan this year, where you want to win every game and every game is big, but with the expanded playoff, there were games at the end of the year. It's like if they lose, your season's not over. That feeling that you used to have in college football is kind of gone this year.
Yeah.
And now we're faced with this is it. Your season could come to an end today, or you advance to the semifinals.
I am not going to lie. I'm nervous.
Yeah.
I mean, you're playing, you're starting out with a very good football team that you're going to have to play 4 quarters to beat.
Yep.
It's you're playing your first game after 4 weeks off. You beat the team already, and now they're coming back, for you. Yeah, I'm a little nervous, but it's a good nervous.
Yep.
It's not like, oh man, I don't know about this. No, I know we could beat them. I know Oregon could beat them without a doubt. I understand that, but you have to play perfect.
You do.
You really do.
See, and it's good to have those nerves right now.
Yes.
Because yes, of the way the first game went, and that was at home.
Yeah.
And now it's not. And it should be
a little nervous, a little tight.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'll use
the
line that Dan Lanning used this week, which I do appreciate. And I know you probably preach this to your players, but pressure is a privilege, and that's the message that he gives to the guys in the locker room. Where there's obvious nerves for them, and so many eyeballs on you, and it's a playoff
what an
game.
Opportunity.
Exactly, what an opportunity, Dan Lanning. And that's where I'll say to fans, and I've been texting with buddies all week, doing like vibe checks, how we feeling, how we feel kind of going into the game, getting closer and closer.
Right.
I just, there is an enjoyment of having that feeling of anxiety and pressure as a fan, because it means your team, one, has had an incredible season.
That's right.
And two, putting themselves in a position to play in a massive game. And
That's right.
Easily the biggest game of the day, and it will probably have the most eyeballs, although Notre Dame gets a ton of eyeballs. But I think everybody's pumped for Oregon and Ohio State. You said something there, and we were talking a little bit about it before we started. I wanted to begin here, and then we'll get to some audio from Ohio State in a moment. It's hard to beat a team twice. That's the thing that gets said a lot in football. What is it about the second time you go through it that just makes it a real big challenge for Oregon today, who is trying to do that with Ohio State?
Well, our high school dealt with it, 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
We lost to a team.
Is that your champion high school team?
Yes, it is. Westland
State champs.
Lions, state champs, by the way.
Yeah.
But,
Shout out.
So
Congratulations.
Former quarterback about to kick it off
and
right
my
now in the Peach
quarterback
Bowl.
who we won in 2020. 2022.
You got too many titles to remember. You can't even remember which year they all happened. I don't know.
There's so many.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
I got a lot.
They all
It's
blend
fun.
together.
No, it's fun. But LO beat us the first time, and we knew, hey, we're coming back, and we looked at the mistakes that we made.
Yep.
And so, okay, we're not going to do this. We're going to do that. Are they going to change? That's the question that we had. Will the coaches change their scheme? We didn't know. They want to run the ball. You have a great running back. We had to stop this running back. So we put everything into stopping this running back. It's doable, because I'm looking at the Washington game last year.
Did it last year to Oregon, yeah.
Yes.
They were on the other side of this.
There's no way I thought Washington would beat Oregon the second time.
Yep.
There was no way. And Washington beat us.
Yeah, and they ran them out of the gym in the first half, and Oregon made a good comeback. But
Yes,
that was an ugly first half of football.
It was.
Yeah.
So it's doable, and when you have a lot of dudes on your football team who can play the game, because that's what it's all about. Guys playing the game, making plays. Oregon has a lot.
They got a lot of dudes.
They have a lot of. This is not like the old Oregon teams. No. I'm telling you, it's not at all.
No,
it's not even close, to be honest. They have a lot of dudes.
Well, I think it makes you feel good, too, because you mentioned some of those old Oregon teams where it felt like you had to really lean on one guy or two guys. And when in big games like this, you were outgunned at certain key spots. Offensive line's going to get overwhelmed by a defensive line, or defensive line's going to get overwhelmed by an offensive line. And, hey, we need Mariota to go be perfect. We need you to be Superman to go win this game. You don't really have that feeling anymore, where you need Gabriel to play well. You obviously need to play well to win this game. But there doesn't seem to be a talent deficit. You could say Ohio State's got a better wide receiver room. Okay, I don't disagree with you.
Right.
Oregon's coming to the table with Tez Johnson, Evan Stewart, and Trayshawn Holden,
That's
right? Like, so every time you can look at all these great players in the secondary for Ohio State. Well, Oregon cooked them the first time, and you got Jabbar and Savage, and Brandon Johnson's playing at a good level. Nico Reed's playing at a high level. So everywhere you look, you can say, well, maybe there's a slight lean here or a slight advantage there, but there's not a big gap between the two programs. And I think that leaves you feeling confident going into the game if you are a Duck fan. Let's hear from Ohio State. Their quarterback had comments going into this game. Did you know that Ohio State's undefeated this year? Because according to Will Howard, they're undefeated this year. We'll get to that, a little audio from the coaches as well, as we continue to get closer and closer to kickoff. Oregon and Ohio State coming up 2 o'clock. But now it's time for Ducks Game Day weather every 10 minutes, brought to you by Victor Rico's Mexican Food. Order Victor Rico's for your game day celebration in-store or online for pickup or delivery at victorricos.com. Here's Jeff Russ.
42 and cloudy here in Portland, 62 and sunny in Pasadena. Ducks Game Day forecast calls for some showers off and on this evening and overnight into the morning for the 2 o'clock kick at the Rose Bowl. 69 and partly cloudy skies, just a very slight breeze. I'm Jeff Russ with Ducks Game Day Ducks Game Day weather every 10 minutes, brought to you by Victor Rico's Mexican Food.
Make 2025 the year you get started on your next success.
Jorgenson will get on it back at the 23-yard line.
This is Behind Enemy Lines, a look at Ducks opponents with the insiders who know them best on the Odyssey app and 1080 The Fan.
All right, welcome back in. Oregon Ducks game day. Texas and Arizona State just kicked off down at the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, and we'll keep you up to date. Arizona State's got the ball to start the game. We'll let you know how they do on their opening drive. It looks like they're going to have to punt it back to Texas, or to Texas, I should say, right out of the gate. So Arizona State forced to punt on their opening drive. We'll keep you up to date on that throughout the course of the show. Let's go behind enemy lines. I teased it there in the last segment. Did you know that Ohio State's undefeated this year? Did you know that? Pretty remarkable season for them. Undefeated year. Yeah, right? Will Howard, talking to the media this week leading into the game, said, nope, nobody's beaten us this year.
I think so. I think, you go back and watch the film, and, I just didn't, and I'm hypercritical of myself, and I think we all are here, but I just look at it and I'm like, man, I don't think anyone this year beat us. I think we beat ourselves every time. And, you watch and we had the turnover, in our own 20-yard line. And they got the kick. That's 2 possessions we stole in the first half. And then, obviously the way the game ended, and we're still 1 point away, and that's what hurts. And it was a hostile environment at their place. I'm just thankful that, I said this the other day, but I'm just thankful that
He's thankful to get another shot at it. He said nobody's beaten us but ourselves, which I think if you're the Oregon coaching staff and the Oregon team, you love that. That's incredibly disrespectful to Oregon and what they did, because I think, and a theme that I want to get to throughout the show today, Anthony, is that, Oregon won the game 32-31, classic, one of the best in the history of Autzen Stadium, maybe the biggest win ever. Oregon did a ton of stuff to hurt themselves in that game.
That's right.
There were a lot of mistakes that they made from the opening touchdown. You botched the PAT, you missed a field goal, can't convert in the red zone multiple times. Don't challenge the interception on the opening drive that would have taken 7 points off the board. Like that, I just heard that and I chuckled. And I'm sure the players and coaches loved hearing it, because it wasn't as if Oregon played a perfect game. They played a very good game, and they hit a lot of shots down the field, and that was a big reason that they won. But Oregon was far from perfect the first time around, and nobody's beaten Ohio State this year.
Be careful what you ask for. Okay, you're calling somebody out, and then you're looking at your film. You're not looking at somebody else's film. You're looking at your film and making statements like we haven't lost. Well, Oregon's looking at their film, and they're saying the same thing. Wow, we didn't play very well that game. We could play better.
Yep.
And they beat you. So you have two losses for a reason.
Two.
Oregon has 0 for a reason. When you talk about playing the game and guys executing on the field, okay, let's not get it twisted. Understand that you're playing against a good football team who can play against anybody in the country. And you guys are not almighty. And I keep hearing that all week. Oh, Ohio State's going to – that's why I'm a little nervous. I just can't – I wish I was playing.
You're ready to go run through the tunnel, man.
Now. It's driving
this guy
me
a
crazy.
helmet, man.
Come on.
It's just,
Jeez,
look,
God.
I understand the theory of, saying we did a lot to beat ourselves in that game, but it's incredibly disrespectful to your opponent to say nobody's beaten us this year when Oregon wasn't necessarily at their best, and they beat you. And by the way, you lost at home to a Michigan team who can't complete a forward pass.
That's right.
Okay, so you say that we had to go into these bad, atmospheres and these tough atmospheres. You lost the Michigan game at home on Senior Day to a team that went 7-5 this year.
Yes.
What are we doing here, Will Howard?
Can't throw.
They can't throw the football.
Football.
So I heard that this week and I chuckled and I thought that'll get people fired up today on game day. Everybody, juices are already flowing. You hear the quote from Will Howard, "Hey, nobody's beaten us this year." One other one I wanted to get to here. This is a funny back and forth. Steve Hellwagon, good friend of the station. We've had him on multiple times. He covers Ohio State and has for a long time. He asked about game plans from the first game to the second game and how much they may differ.
Steve Hellwagon with Bucknuts 24/7 Sports. The first game you guys played, Oregon hit 8 chunk plays of 25 yards or longer. I guess I would just ask Coach Day, obviously the defense has played much better in the 7 games since then. What systems in place do you have to not allow that type of performance again? And then for Coach Lanning, kind of the chess match of taking what their adjustments are and still trying to hit those big plays.
They'll just give him the game plan now. Is that
right? I was going to start taking notes if he starts.
So here's what we're going to do. Certainly coming out of that game, that was a huge part of the game, and I thought that Coach Stein and everybody on their staff did a great job of scheming up some plays to attack us, and then they did a great job of executing them. I thought the route running and the throwing and catching and protection, it all goes in together, and they did a great job of that in creating exploits, and that's, as we all know, a huge factor in winning and losing games. And coming out of that game, we certainly recognized that. That was no secret. So we've worked hard to make adjustments in those areas. We know that we're going to see a lot of the same type of things coming into this game. I'm sure it's not going to be the same exact style, but they're still going to have those type of ways to attack us. So we got to do a great job of getting lined up. We got to do a great job of communicating, and then post snap, we got to run to the football and understand what's going on.
Yeah, and same on the other side of the ball, right? There were a lot of lead changes and score changes in the game last time. There was explosive plays on both sides. So the team that probably has the least explosives on their defense and the team that creates the most on their offense is probably going to have the most success.
Well, it does make. I love the joke there. You want me to just give you the game plan now? And Lanning's like, sure, I'll start writing it down. First 20 plays, what are you going to call? I'd love to have that information. But, it does highlight something we talked about to open the segment and kind of be a theme throughout the show, the difficulty of beating a team twice and not knowing what kind of schematic changes they're going to make. Because I'm going to put you in the shoes of Jim Knowles, right? Oregon comes into that first game, you're Ohio State's defense coordinator. Yeah. You get torched over the top. Just shots down the field the entire game. Yeah. And that was the big reason why Oregon won, because Oregon in that game had 5 trips to the red zone. They only scored 2 touchdowns, but they won because they had a lot of touchdowns that were down the field and big plays that set them up. So if you're Ohio State, are you coming in saying we got to have 2 high safeties the entire game? Can we trust our corners on an island? Are we going to be able to stop the run with 2 high safeties? Yeah. There's a bit of a chess match there that makes it difficult in that second matchup.
Sometimes you have to do what you've done all year to win football games. As soon as you change, now all of a sudden you're not used to doing that. And when you're not used to doing something, you don't do it well, then you have problems. So I think Ohio State will stay the same. They're going to stop the running game. They want to control the running game because they know Oregon wants to run the football. Yep. And, yes, they're going to take their safeties and bring them down and help stop the run. And they may keep one safety deep, but they're going to talk to the corners and go, hey, guys, don't get beat deep. Let's keep it in front of us. Stay back. The guys can run. Yep. You played against them before, so back up a little more. But we still got to stop the run. If you start changing things, that's when you find yourself getting in trouble because you're not used to doing it.
Yeah, we can give up those 7, 8, 9-yard catches. We can't give up those 47, 48, 49-yard catches.
Explosion plays.
It totally flips the field.
Can't.
So we'll be curious to see what adjustments are made today. By the way, as we open the second, I was going to give you an update. Arizona State had a penalty on the punt. Texas ran into the kicker, so gave them an automatic first down. Arizona State able to advance the ball. They just kicked a field goal on their opening drive, so Arizona State with a 3-0 lead over Texas, 9 minutes to go in the first half. Scattaboo! Running wild on people down in Atlanta. Let's get to the injury report. Ohio State still banged up front. What do we know about Oregon and who's in and who is out? We'll get to that coming up next. But now it is time for Ducks Game Day Weather every 10 minutes, brought to you by Victor Rico's Mexican Food. Order Victor Rico's for your game day celebration in store or online for pickup or delivery at victorricos.com. Here's Jeff Rust.
It is 42, cloudy here in Portland, 63 and sunny in Pasadena. Ducks Game Day forecast calls for some showers off and on this evening and overnight into the morning for the 2 o'clock kick at the Rose Bowl. 69, partly cloudy skies, just a very slight breeze. I'm Jeff Rust with Ducks Game Day Weather every 10 minutes, brought to you by Victor Rico's Mexican Food.
Coors Light presents Ducks Game Day.
We should have our guys available. Right now, we're still waiting to see. Have some guys that still have to get healthy.
This is the Zoom Care Injury Report. A look at the injuries that could impact today's game and the key matchups in college football. Brought to you by Zoom Care. With more than 20 neighborhood clinics in Oregon and Southwest Washington, Zoom Care offers convenient access to same-day urgent and emergency care, plus an expanded primary care team, currently accepting new patients. Schedule or learn more at zoomcare.com.
I think the theme of this is welcome back in. Oregon Duck pregame show. Andy Jorgenson, Anthony Newman hanging out with you. The theme of this segment for me will be, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on this, both as a coach and a player. Where do you come down on the rust, conversation? Do you want to go play? Because the injury report, like if we're being honest for Oregon, I don't know if they've been this healthy all year.
No.
Jordan Burch didn't play in the first game. He's ready to go. Marcus Harper was banged up at the end of the year. He played in the Big Ten title game sparingly, and now he's back full time. Tez, obviously, at the end of the year was banged up. He's fully healthy and torched Penn State in the Big Ten championship game. They seem to be as healthy as they have ever been. The month off has been critical in that regard. But where is the balance of it's great to be rested and healthy as opposed to we haven't played a game in a month, and will there be rust in the first quarter of this game?
I'm going to always come down on the rust side.
Big fan of rust over here. Big fan of the rust.
Well, I agree with you, but to only one side of the ball, and that's the defensive side of the ball. It is hard to mimic tackling, live tackling during practice. You can't do it. First of all, you don't want to get guys hurt. You don't want to have guys falling on the ground. When the guys fall on the ground, people are going to get hurt because people are going to trip over them. So there's no tackling during practice. You haven't tackled somebody since, 4 weeks? Okay, first quarter, when it's live against a good football team,
Jeremiah Smith at the open
you're
field.
going to be a little rusty, and that's what makes me nervous. Yes, I like everybody healthy. I understand that, but there's no tomorrow. You have to start fast in these type of games. There's no, we'll get into it, we'll get going. If you're trailing 14-0, that's going to be a dogfight.
Yeah.
And now you're feeling good in the second quarter, which is a little bit too late.
You're right. Too little, too late for you at that point, potentially.
So, when we talk about the rust, I think that, we can get into that, but we won't. But the format is just all jacked up. But 4 weeks, 4 weeks is just way too long.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, you're telling me Penn State cakewalk into the semis after losing to Oregon. It makes sense in the format while Oregon's got to go play Ohio State today.
That's a whole nother show.
Makes a lot of sense, right? Texas loses the SEC title game. They get ASU. Georgia's got to play Notre Dame. All of it makes sense, right?
That's a whole lot of
I mean, look, they're going to redraw it this offseason, which it's wonderful that Oregon gets to be the guinea pig at 13-0 that gets to play this format. But, it is interesting. And on the other side of it, for Ohio State, I mean, they had to play a game last week, or, what are we, 10 days ago, give or take, somewhere in that range. The story for them will be, and it will be for, whether they win this game, their offensive line, their left tackle, who was likely going to be a first, second-round pick, got hurt in the Oregon game at the end of the first half, missed the rest of the year. He's already declared he's gone. Their starting center, who won the Remington Award as the best center in college football this year, ruptured his Achilles, I believe, before the Indiana game with 2 weeks to go.
Correct.
And so he missed the Michigan game, didn't play against Tennessee. So they're without two of their starting offensive linemen. And that, to me, is one of the biggest questions in this game. That offensive line held up well against Tennessee. Is that an indicator of how they will play today, or is that a false, positive, if you will, for Ohio State if Tennessee just didn't have either the dogs up front or the game plan to make them pay? Because that offensive line struggled mightily against Michigan, who has NFL guys up front. Oregon's defensive line, because of the injuries, has to play outstanding today.
Tennessee is doo-doo. I'm telling you that right now. I watched the whole game. I watched every snap, and I watched it over.
Yeah.
They don't play well up front.
They're doo-doo also.
Yeah, there you go. There's some. It just, when you lose a starter, you're hurt. Okay, when you lose two, now you have problems. You really do up front against guys who are solid up front. Oregon's solid up front. Then you add a guy who didn't play, the best player who didn't play against them the first time.
On top of that.
Yeah. So, guys talk about, well, the backups are okay. No, they're backing somebody up for a reason. They're a backup. Because the starters are guys who are going to play in the NFL. Starters are guys who are can play and beat anybody, can compete with anyone. The backups, nah, you're going to give up a couple sacks.
Yep.
Because that's who they are. And nothing you can do about it. And then when you go against a good opponent, a guy who can play up front, who is going to be playing in the NFL.
2 first-round picks potentially, right? Well, actually, maybe have 3 first-round picks on your defensive line right now.
You're in trouble.
With this draft and the next draft.
You could be in trouble.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's where it's so tough. You think back to the start of the year for Oregon, where, the storyline was, what the hell's wrong with this team? It really stemmed from injuries up front.
That's right.
That not having your center or having to move your center to guard and then not having your other guards. Everything was out of whack for them, and they couldn't execute offensively because of it. And so I think if you're Ohio State, you feel good about the way that they played against Tennessee, but to your larger point about them being doo-doo, I think Oregon's got a better defensive front. I think they're more on par with what Michigan is, and that's where, to me, that to me is the entire matchup of the game. If that defensive line can make Ohio State's offensive line look like they're playing with 2 backups, you're going to win this football game. If you cannot win up front against backups, then they're going to be able to do to you what they did to Tennessee because they have so many weapons on the outside that if you're not getting home and you're not stopping the run with Jeremiah Smith and Igbuka and all these different guys, it makes it really challenging to stop that
Well, they didn't even
offense.
touch Will Howard. Tennessee's
They didn't breathe on him.
They didn't breathe on him. You can't give a quarterback time to throw the football.
Yeah.
He's going to beat anybody.
Yeah.
So that's that. That to me, they talked about Tennessee's defensive line. I was watching them going, their first step, nah. They're not like Oregon.
Yeah.
They're nothing like Oregon.
They're not firing off the ball the way they
Not
should.
even Michigan.
Yeah.
I was watching Michigan. Michigan can get up. They can get after it up front.
They moved them around up front
They
in that game.
did.
Yeah.
They did.
So we'll see if Oregon can take advantage of that. That is the biggest injury report, is obviously the 2 offensive linemen for Ohio State being out. Oregon, outside of a couple of guys that hit the portal that were kind of depth and, added pieces, not being able to play in this game for obvious reasons, they're as healthy as they've been all year. Injury report brought to you by Zoom Care. More than 20 neighborhood clinics in Oregon and Southwest Washington. Zoom Care offers convenient access to same-day urgent and emergency care, plus an expanded primary care team currently accepting new patients. Schedule or learn more at zoomcare.com. Let's get to our lock of the week. We'll update you on what just happened in the Peach Bowl between Texas and Arizona State. That is coming up next on 1080 The Fan.
Lock of the week in college football.
If I were a more serious college football gambler, I would have locked this in earlier.
The Legends Casino Hotel Lock of the Week. Brought to you by Legends Casino Hotel in Toppenish. Legends Casino Hotel, within winning distance.
Here's your quick score update from Atlanta, where Arizona State kicked a field goal on their opening drive. Texas had 2 plays and scored a touchdown. So they hit a long chunk play on a crossing route on their first play of the drive, and then second play, wheel route to the end zone. Texas scored easily, and now they're about to force a punt immediately back. So Texas early taking control of the game, similar to the way we saw Penn State do last night against
Who
Boise.
did Texas lose to?
Texas only lost to Georgia this year. That is it. Twice.
Oh, twice.
Twice. Regular
that's the
season,
other
they got
one.
smoked
Okay,
at
that's why I'm
home, and then
confused.
they lost in the SEC
Again,
title
I
game.
got
So
you.
those are the only two. That's the only team to beat Texas this year is Georgia, and Arizona State's got a tall task here early. Texas might take control of this game right out of the gate. I'm going to give you a quick lock of the week, and then we'll get to our keys to the game. Obviously, I can't pick this game because it's already going. I'm not going to touch the Oregon game because I'm worried about jinxes, and I'm not superstitious, but I'm a little stitious. I'm going to go tonight, the nightcap.
Just a little stitious.
Just a little stitious, not superstitious. Let's go to the Sugar Bowl tonight in New Orleans, where there was a horrific news story overnight. For those who haven't seen, 10 people are dead on Bourbon Street. Just a horrible, horrible story leading into that game. I'm going to take Georgia tonight. It's Kirby Smart, big game. Notre Dame struggles in big games. Georgia still has the talent of one of the best teams in the country. They won the SEC in a year where maybe they weren't that good. And I know Carson Beck's out for the rest of the year. I don't know how big of a loss that is. That guy wasn't very good this season, threw 12 picks, couldn't stop throwing interceptions in big games.
True.
I think they're going to run the football a ton. Gunnar Stockton is a great athlete for them, and they're a 1-point underdog right now, actually. So you're getting plus money if you want. I'm on Georgia tonight in my lock of the week.
I like that. I'm a Georgia fan, to be honest. But Notre Dame's defense is
nasty,
with
man.
the backup quarterback.
Yep.
And then you had time to look at the new quarterback.
Yeah, you got a little bit of the game in the SEC title game.
Yeah, so you know what he's like.
Yep.
Ooh, I don't know.
Hey, okay.
That's a good pick, though.
We'll wait and see. I was joking. I was joking this week of I really need Oregon to win because I'm excited about this game. But if Oregon loses to Ohio State, I don't know what kind of emotional state I'm going to be because that's a nightcap. It's afterwards. Like I want to be, feeling good. You're riding a high. Your team won. Like all right, let's watch a stress-free football game and just enjoy it tonight.
Right.
Hopefully we get there. The lock of the week brought to you by Legends Casino Hotel in Toppenish. Legends Casino Hotel within winning distance online at legendscasino.com. Your keys to the game. What does Oregon need to do to get a win? By the way, Texas just ran the punt back, so they are now up 14-3 on Arizona State early. I'm glad that Texas and Penn State lose conference title games and get cakewalks to the semifinals. Phenomenal format. Now, though, it's time for Ducks Game Day Weather every 10 minutes, brought to you by Victorino's Mexican Food. Order Victorino's for your game day celebration in-store or online for pickup or delivery at victoricos.com. Here's Jeff Rust.
All right, yeah, good times. 42 and cloudy here in Portland, 64 and sunny in Pasadena. Ducks game day forecast calls for some showers off and on this evening and overnight into the morning for the 2 o'clock kick at the Rose Bowl. 69, partly cloudy skies, just a very slight breeze. I'm Jeff Rust with Ducks game day weather every 10 minutes, brought to you by Victorino's Mexican Food.
This new year, get started on your next success with University of Maryland Global Campus.
A look at the players and units that have to have a big day for the Ducks. Brought to you on The Fan by Audi Wilsonville, offering unmatched service to help you find the perfect car. Online at AudiWilsonville.com.
All right, welcome back in. Oregon Ducks pregame show. Andy Johnson, Anthony Newman hanging out with you for another hour and 22 minutes up until noon. And then we'll send you down to Pasadena. Jerry, Jorgie, Dusty, and the guys will take you all the way up until kickoff at 2 o'clock right here on The Fan. Oregon and Ohio State, round 2. We farted around enough here, okay? I'm done complaining about the format. It's absolutely horse-ass, but, we'll move on. Keys to the game today as we look at Oregon and Ohio State. If I just ask you right off the top of your head, the number one thing Oregon needs to do today in order to get a win, what's the first thing that pops up?
Protect the football or take it away. You have to, as a defense, you have to give your offense more opportunities So you need to go get the football and take it from their offense. As an offensive group, you have to protect the ball. You can't give opportunities for their offense to score points more than your offense. Dylan Gabriel, he has to play one of his better games, and I believe he's the better He is the better quarterback. I don't believe he is the better quarterback out there, but he has to protect the football this game.
They were a +2 in turnover margin in the first game at Autzen Stadium. That was a big part of it. They got points, I believe, off of both of those. I know they did on the Harmon forced fumble on Judkins. They scored their opening touchdown on that drive. So that is always a big one. I said this earlier this week, and I want to get your thoughts on it. And I am by no means making the argument that Dylan Gabriel is the best quarterback in Oregon history, right? They've had unbelievable quarterbacks for a long time. Mariota's Heisman Trophy winner, for heaven's sakes. There is something about him, and I'm sure you know this as a player and a coach, like, sure, from a size, talent standpoint, he's not better than Marcus Mariota. There is something about him in big games that I don't know if I've ever felt that level of confidence as an Oregon fan of, it's 3rd and 7, you need to complete, like, he's going to do it. You need a drive, that's just kind of who he has been all year for them. And that, to me, is my biggest key, is that he needs to outplay. I thought he outplayed Will Howard in the first game.
Yes, he did.
Not that Will Howard was bad. He threw for 300 yards, and he lit Oregon up, for being honest. But Gabriel had 341, 2 touchdowns, did it on the ground. He had the long touchdown run. That was their last touchdown they scored. I just have a level of belief in him in big games. At the moment's not going to be too big. The lights won't be too bright, and he's going to ball out, and that's my biggest key, is that they need number 8 to be special today.
It's experience. He's played in a lot of big games before he got to Oregon. Yeah. I mean, are you kidding me? And the kid can play, and just they love him as a player. His other players love him. They will do anything for him. He's earned the respect there that's unreal in 1 year, which is crazy. Like, okay, how did he do that? And he's playing at a high level. They understand that when he's touching the ball every offensive snap. Okay, he can do some great things with it, and his players know that, so they want to play hard for him. So, yeah, I mean, he's the best quarterback right now. When you talk about all the teams in the playoffs,
he's by far the best.
The best. Yeah, not even close.
Yeah, and I think there's an added layer to that too, where you go back to that first game, they couldn't really lay a hand on him, and a lot of that is credit to the offensive line and the way that they played. Oh, yeah. But also a lot of that is him he's just slippery, man. His pocket presence is great. Like, he knows how to slide. He knows how to move. He knows when to extend plays. He knows when to tuck it and say, I'm going to go get 7 yards here, and then slide and get down. He's very smart, and the way that he moves in the pocket makes it really hard to stop him.
And to say that in that last game that he maybe outplayed the other quarterback, and in the game that in the way that game went, it's not denigrating the other quarterback.
No, Will Howard was great.
A tremendous game.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So so to say that he outplayed him, it's not putting down Will Howard.
No, just building up Dylan Gabriel.
Exactly.
Yeah,
really,
that guy was outstanding, and you even played at a higher level than that, because both quarterbacks were great in that game. And I expect today to be another shootout with a lot of points.
Yeah.
So that to me is a big one. Any other keys that stick out in your mind looking at this game?
Special teams.
Special teams.
Do we ever talk about special teams?
We never talk about special teams.
But special teams can get you good field position.
They can.
They can score points. Okay, or so you have to have great special teams in these big games.
It's like last night when I saw Boise State's kicker coming out there with
not good. Yeah, I mean, first drive of the game, they kick a field goal.
God,
what are we doing?
Boise State's got a fat kicker.
Fat kickers are not a way to win football games, man. You can't have a fat kicker.
He can tackle.
A little more weight, I guess. If he can catch somebody, you can bring him down. You got to catch him first. That's the tough part for us fat people. It is.
I'll go get him.
I'll chase him down. It is funny because you look at the first game and you bring up special teams. Mixed bag for Oregon. You botched the PAT on your opening touchdown.
That's right.
Missed a field goal. So there's 4 points right there you just left on the board.
Yeah.
But then you had the onside kick that you did. You went water boy and kicked it into the guy and you recovered it. So there was you had some great plays and some bad plays in that game. And so special teams has to be special. The only other one I'll give is what we talked about earlier. I still think the biggest story of this game is the injuries for Ohio State's offensive line.
Yeah.
And Oregon's defensive line, if they can win up front consistently, to me, the biggest key is being able to have bracket coverage on Jeremiah Smith and Iguka. Yeah. And if you got to start bringing guys in towards the line of scrimmage to help stop the run, good luck. Because they're going to beat you in one-on-one coverage because they're just that good. There's not much a corner can do. I know how talented Oregon's secondary is, but if you're able to stop their run game or slow their run game down with just your base front, and you still got Johnson and Savage playing deep in coverage, you got a great chance to win this football game. So you got to win up front on defense. Audi Wilsonville offers unmatched service to help you find the perfect car online. AudiWilsonville.com. Let's take a look at what's going on around the Big Ten. A couple of bowl games that happened for the conference yesterday, flipping a bit of a narrative in the college football world. We'll get to that coming up next, but now it is time for Ducks Game Day weather. Every 10 minutes brought to you by Victor Rico's Mexican Food. Order Victor Rico's for your game day celebration, in-store or online for pickup or delivery at victorricos.com. Here's Jeff Rust.
It's 42 and cloudy here in Portland, 65 and sunny in Pasadena. Ducks Game Day forecast calls for some showers off and on this evening, overnight into the morning. For the 2 o'clock kick at the Rose Bowl, 69, partly cloudy skies, just a very slight breeze. I'm Jeff Rust with Ducks Game Day weather every 10 minutes, brought to you by Victor Rico's Mexican Food.
It's time to take a look at this big, beautiful coast-to-coast conference.
4 Big Ten teams, they will benefit. I can't wait for it.
This is the Big Ten Preview, a look at the conference schedule on the Odyssey app, and your home for Oregon Ducks football. 1080, The Fan.
All right, welcome back in. Andy Johnson, Anthony Newman hanging out with you, getting you all set. Oregon, Ohio State coming up 2 o'clock right here on The Fan, the game we've all been waiting for. We thought we would get in Indianapolis a couple of weeks ago, and then Michigan said, not so fast, my friend. You're going to play Penn State instead. So now we get round 2, and it's a quarterfinal game in the college football playoff.
Well, and apparently the get-in price for this game is about 5 times the get-in price for all of the other games.
This is the hot commodity ticket.
Yeah.
If you wanted to walk up to the door to go to the game on right now, which, by the way, Arizona State punted back to Texas.
Luck.
So Texas is good. It looks like they're going to blow them out. You can get in for $19 to the Peach Bowl today. $19 if you wanted to go to Arizona State, Texas.
No.
If you want to get into the Rose Bowl, I think I saw the lowest price was $250, $300, somewhere in that range.
It was yeah, it was just way bigger than all of the other ones.
Yes.
We'll put it that way.
Not even close.
Way bigger.
Biggest ticket right now. Let's look at the conference quickly, and then we'll get to Dan Lanning here in a moment. Looking around the conference, it's funny, there was this narrative. Indiana lost to Notre Dame in the first playoff game, and Sean McDonough of ESPN was on the call that game, and he said, we really need to look at comparing the Big Ten and the SEC and stop putting them on the same platform. Indiana's fraudulent. He just went on this whole rant about how the Big Ten essentially wasn't very good this year. Then you fast forward in the bowl season, Indiana,
I love it.
Their 10-point loss in that game, which a lot of it was garbage time. I'm not acting like they were competitive. Their 10-point loss in that game was the closest margin of round 1.
Yep.
Penn State beat SMU 38-10, and then they beat Boise State last night. They are now in the semifinal. You had USC beat Texas A&M.
That's right.
Like, what? How the hell did that happen?
That's right.
Nebraska beat Boston College. Nobody really, whatever. Iowa did lose. And then you had yesterday, Michigan beat Alabama.
That's right.
As a 7-5 team, they beat 9-3 Alabama that everybody said should have been in the playoff.
That's right.
They lost 19-13. And then Illinois, who was a 3-loss team that for some reason nobody talked about, and one of their losses was the number 1 team in the country in Oregon, where they had to go to their building, and Oregon worked them pretty good. And they lost, Illinois won that game over South Carolina 21-17. So 2 teams everybody wanted in the playoff from the SEC lost to Big Ten teams yesterday.
I'm going to insert my Eric Cartman voice right here and be like, I was led to believe it just means more here.
Doesn't mean more. Means more in Big Ten country.
Well, it was funny. I was rooting for Big Ten teams, and I'm not used to that.
Did you find yourself rooting for Big Ten teams?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You did, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But it was like, wait,
same.
I'm a Pac-12 guy.
I know, it's weird.
There's no Pac-12. I'm a Big Ten guy now. So I'm yelling even louder for Illinois to win that football game because I am not an SEC guy. So
yeah.
That was a great day to watch the Big Ten just take care of business.
This game's entertaining yesterday. A bit of a rainstorm in the Michigan-Bama game. And then Illinois, South Carolina, we got a little feisty between the coaches yesterday. That doesn't happen very often. They were barking at each other on the field. So there's a look at what happened in the Big Ten.
Shane Beamer got spicy, didn't he?
Shane Beamer got very spicy in that game. And then he lost. And so that's, you get spicy. You got to go find a way to win the game. He did not do that. Big old Brett Bielema found a way to win that one.
That's a big boy. You got to be careful with that one.
He's a big boy. I'm not fighting that guy.
You got to be careful with that one.
Not fighting that guy.
He's not wearing a poncho. That's a tarp.
That is a tarp. He's got a tarp on. Let's hear from the head coach of the Oregon Ducks, Dan Lanning. Joins Isaac and Suka every week. What did he have to say leading into this game? That is coming up next. Ducks pregame show on 1080 The Fan.
Ducks
get here and get into LA and obviously enjoy the game. So we've had a great week of preparation. Like Dan said, different preparation. It's not really a bowl game, quote unquote, with events. It's more about a playoff game, and so excited about the opportunity to play.
Oregon head coach Dan Lanning's appearances on 1080 The Fan, brought to you by Unitas Community Credit Union. Like a coach's playbook, Unitas has a winning strategy for your finances. You, us, Unitas.
Hey, Duck.
Responsibly.
All right, welcome back in. We'll hear from Dusty Harrah coming up in a few moments. We'll head down to Pasadena, get his thoughts. Obviously, Mike Jorgensen will join us. You'll hear from Joey Harrington as well. End of the first quarter in Atlanta. Arizona State trailing Texas 14-3. They're going to have a fourth down decision coming up at about the 25-yard line, about a 4th and 3 to open the second quarter. So I'll keep you up to date on that game and what it looks like. One thing I wanted to ask you about, Anthony, as we continue to look at this matchup, Oregon in the first game, we joked earlier about Will Howard saying we beat ourselves. Oregon did nothing to beat us. We beat ourselves. And I pointed out Oregon did a lot of things to beat themselves as well, but they still found a way to win the game. One of the biggest ones, and I think it's a massive thing to circle in the outcome today, red zone efficiency. Ohio State has one of the best defenses in the country, but especially when you look at their numbers in the red zone, they are incredibly difficult to score on when you get inside the 15 and then inside the 10-yard line. What is it about scoring in that space that is so challenging for offenses? Because I think one of the stats that Oregon wants to flip on its head, being 2 of 5 scoring touchdowns in the red zone in the first game, you wonder how many times can you get away with that? They need to be better in the red zone, but it seems like it's incredibly challenging to do that against this Ohio State defense.
Because there's no space. You have about 20 yards to deal with. So as a DB, you don't have to worry about the receiver getting behind you. You want him to get behind you. You want the ball thrown behind you, because if the receiver comes in front of you, he's going to cross the goal line and then catch the ball. Yep. That's a touchdown. So you're taking away space that, as quarterbacks are looking, those windows get real tight, and that's a little scary. A lot of times in the red zone, a lot of teams are bringing the house. They're bringing everybody because they know you're going to run the football in the red zone, so they want to stop the run, and they understand that you can't get beat deep. So let's bring the house. Let's bring our safeties in the box, and offensive coordinators, they can't stand it. It's if And a lot of times you don't see the bubble screens and the running back screens down in the red zone. You don't see that because it takes time. And I was like, does that work in the red zone?
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about that because usually when you see a team that's going to blitz, you're going to run the screens, you're going to run the bubbles, but that's an open field. That's not in the red zone.
That's a big one, I think, for Oregon today is finding a way to make sure when they move the ball. Because I just think with all the weapons that they have in Gabriel quarterback, like they're going to be able to move the ball between the 20s.
Yeah,
like,
that's exactly.
Not every drive. You're going to have some punts. Like, of course that's going to happen. It's a long football game. It's a lot of possessions. But they're so talented that you can't take anything away. They can run it on you. You got different weapons to choose from. Like, they're going to move the ball between the 20s. It is going to come down to one of the biggest things is when you get into that red area, you cannot kick field goals consistently. And obviously you can't come away with no points. But how aggressive are you going to be on 4th and 1? If you get one of those on like the 9-yard line, just all those little things of making sure that you pay off the drives when you move it, going to be massive for them today.
If you look at teams that are very successful in the red zone, they have a dude at receiver that's a bigger guy. So now it comes down to, my guy's going to beat your guy, period. I'm going to throw the fade on back shoulder. I'm going to throw a slant. My receiver is just going to beat your guy.
Just going to win that matchup.
Just going to win that matchup.
Yeah.
And that's when you have a team that's they're good in the red zone because they have a guy who's 6'3", 6'4", that they can play.
Yeah, and maybe that's Tez in the slot, right? Just running those little, arrow routes, little crossing routes, whatever the case may be.
But you can't keep up with
He's
them.
so slippery.
Because they're playing man.
Exactly.
They're blitzing. They're sitting in the house.
Well, and then I think the other thing, too, is we talked about Gabriel earlier in the show and trusting him in big moments. His precision has been outstanding this year. And I know he had that weird 2-week stretch against, UCLA and Michigan State where he's throwing some red zone picks.
Yeah.
Hasn't done that in any big game. He has had some unbelievable throws. Like, I go back to that first Ohio State game, the one that he threw to Evan Stewart, the little back shoulder fade. That was perfecly covered, but it just fell into his hands. Remember the Whittington one against Purdue, where he kind of pinned it against his helmet, but the linebacker was right there, face to face. Like, those are those kind of throws because, as you point out, windows are so tight and so small in that point of the field. You got to be precise where you're throwing that football to give your guy a chance to go make a play.
And here's a problem for the defense when you're dealing with a running quarterback. So now you're playing man, okay? All of a sudden, they blitz the house, and the quarterback finds a seam.
Your back's to the play because you're covering your guy.
And he takes off, and he's got 20 yards to run? 15 yards to run for a touchdown? That's a nightmare.
It's going to be a nightmare.
May I ask something just as kind of a dumbassman?
Fire away, Rust.
Yeah. When did it change from the red zone to the red area?
I don't know.
Because it's like on all
feel like
your
everybody
ESPN
does red zone or
shows
red area.
lately, you got your Dan Orlovsky and your Ryan Clarks.
In
your
the
Louis
red
Riddick's,
area.
And it's the red area.
Maybe it was zone offensive to zones.
It's Tom Brady and it's Tony Romo and everybody. It's the red area.
I don't know, Q. Was there
when did it change from the red zone to the red area?
It's always been the red zone for me.
I've always been a red zone guy, too.
I mean, I think it depends on, where you're from. Down south?
Soda or
East
pop
Coast?
kind of thing.
Yeah,
one of those
that type of
tomato,
thing.
tomato.
Yeah, exactly.
Area, zone.
Sorry,
Either way works, man.
I realize that's a dumb thing.
Hey, it's a red zone to us on this show, damn it. We're a red zone show right here. There's a quick look at one of the things Oregon will definitely have to do today, and that is scoring, whether it's in the red area or the red zone. You got to convert touchdowns when you get down there. Arizona State, by the way, went for it on 4th down. They did not get it, so they gave the ball back to Texas. Texas has the ball 14-3. Your score there early, second quarter. Longhorns are leading. Let's head down to Pasadena to talk to Dusty, but now it's time for Ducks Game Day weather every 10 minutes, brought to you by Victorico's Mexican food order. Victorico's for your game day celebration, in-store or online for pickup or delivery at victoricos.com. Here's Jeff Rust.
Guess what? 42 and cloudy here in Portland, 65 and sunny in Pasadena. Ducks Game Day forecast calls for some showers off and on this evening and overnight into the morning for the 2 o'clock kick at the Rose Bowl. 69, partly cloudy skies, just a very slight breeze. I'm Jeff Rust with Ducks Game Day weather every 10 minutes, brought to you by Victorico's Mexican food.
Your home for Oregon Ducks football is KFXX, KWJJ, HD2, Portland.
He's got the speed. He's going to score.
1080 The Fan, an Odyssey sports station. Ducks Game Day continues.
Gabriel under center. Now to fullback position for Grace. Turn and hand it off. Up the middle goes James for the touchdown.
Coors Light presents Ducks Game Day, an insider's preview of today's college football playoff game at the Rose Bowl between the Oregon Ducks and the Ohio State Buckeyes. Oregon Ducks football on 1080 The Fan is brought to you by Coors Light. Pacific Office Automation, Mods BDX, Victor Rico's Mexican Food, Legends Casino Hotel in Toppenish, by Zoom Care, Bellagio's Pizza, Audi Wilsonville, Laurelhurst Market, by Unitas Community Credit Union, and by Langdon Farms Golf Club. Now, here are your hosts, Andy Johnson, Dusty Hara, and former Ducks and NFL star Anthony Newman, with Ducks Game Day on the Odyssey app and 1080 The Fan.
All right, welcome back in. Oregon Ducks Game Day. We'll talk to Dusty Hara here in a moment. I did want to pass on big-time breaking news just came out in the college football world. By the way, this is Hour 2 of Oregon Ducks Game Day on the Fan, brought to you by Coors Light, Mountain Cold Refreshment. Choose chill. Celebrate responsibly. If you didn't see the news over the night, there was horrific news in New Orleans this morning where the Sugar Bowl is being played between Notre Dame and Georgia. Last night at about 3 a.m. on Bourbon Street, there was a man driving a truck, and he drove through barricades onto Bourbon Street and essentially just, plowed over people. 10 people tragically died last night on Bourbon Street around 3 o'clock in the morning. I think the numbers were somewhere in the 30 to 40 range. More were injured in the incident. It has just been announced that they have postponed the Sugar Bowl from tonight until tomorrow. So earlier the reports were that they plan to go ahead and play the game as originally scheduled. They have changed course on that decision, and they just announced down in New Orleans that game will not take place tonight. So there will not be 3 college football games today. Oregon, Ohio State will be the last game at 2 o'clock, and they have moved Georgia and Notre Dame to Thursday night, tomorrow night in New Orleans. So really tragic news overnight and a massive change in the schedule today in the college football world. Just wanted to let everybody know that just came across the wire. Let's go down to Pasadena, get ready to talk to Dusty Hara, sideline reporter for Oregon. Obviously, Danny and Dusty right here on the Fan 12 to 3 every single day in the program podcast, where the latest episode they talked to Josh Wilcox, one of the all-time great Ducks. Dusty, good morning. Set the scene for me, buddy. Weather, what's it looking like? How are we feeling? What are the vibes down in Pasadena getting closer to kickoff?
Well, Anthony, you got to plug your ears because I know you don't like to hear about the nice weather down in Los Angeles, but it is beautiful. There's not a cloud in the sky. It is 71 with a slight breeze, and I am sitting in the stands right now looking at the most beautiful football field on the face of the earth. The Rose Bowl playing surface is pristine. It is not a blade of grass is out of place. I sent a picture to you earlier this week.
I saw it.
They hand paint the field. There's a guy on all fours, and he is hand painting with a roller, as you guys will see Prudential in the middle of the field. He's hand painting it with a roller. It's incredible here. It's incredible. It's like it is a pilgrimage that every football fan should make.
Yeah, it's one of the all-time great stops for fans that get to go down. And I love painting the picture of what we'll paint the field and paint the picture of what it looks like. Ryan Day had a thing where this week he said you're on sensory overload. The sun is brighter, the grass is greener, everything just kind of hits like everybody's just walking around on LSD down there because of the aesthetics of what it looks like. What's the vibe check, man? I mean, now that we're here at Game Day, so much on the line, and we talk so much about seeding where you see Texas up big early against Arizona State. You watch Penn State kind of roll Boise last night, although they gave them a bit of a game, but pull away and win by 17. Oregon's got this big challenge today. The vibe check going into round 2 against Ohio State.
I mean, Ken Johnson said it during media day, right? Like, when he was asked about being the underdog, he's like, well, nobody really believed that we could beat the first time too, right? So why change now? I mean, I think that's kind of – I don't know. It's weird. As a 13-0 team, undefeated, the only undefeated team in the country – it's almost like they needed to be the betting underdog in this game to kind of, if Ohio State wasn't enough, at the end prize being the college football playoff and the national championship being a prize wasn't enough, being an underdog after going, what else do we need to do here? I think that is kind of, there's a laser focus, and it's fun to see, man, but at the same time, it's like they haven't felt or looked too tight all week long.
Real quick, before we get into X's and O's, have you been on the field yet? Have you walked? You have?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I got yelled at. They
told
me to get off the field. It was so worth it.
That's what I thought.
You got scolded, but that's okay. Touching that grass is definitely worth it.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels good on the knees and the feet and everything.
I wasn't about to just stand on the sideline. No, I went between the hashes, and I got yelled at, but you know what? It's okay.
Well, you know what's funny? and I've played in a lot of stadiums, and even going back to college. But the best field I've ever played on is the Rose Bowl. Now I didn't play in the Rose Bowl. We played UCLA in the Rose Bowl. But the grass and the sunshine and the atmosphere, it's just amazing. And then we've been to a lot of Rose Bowls, watching Rose Bowls down there, and just being down there watching it. It's the coolest event ever.
Yeah,
it really is. And so I'm happy for you. Yeah, is it raining here? It's raining here.
It's raining here.
It's raining
Thanks for the
here,
reminder,
right,
Jeff?
Jeff?
Yeah, appreciate that.
I don't know. I can't see out the windows here. But
we're in a cave right now, but I'm 99% sure it's raining.
I'll
currently.
tell you one thing. I remember going down to the Rose Bowl a few years ago and watching DeAnthony Thomas run up that sideline and beating Wisconsin
Can't catch
and
him.
Russell Wilson and sitting there in that press box right next to Suk, and that was a fantastic experience.
I may or may not have vomited outside the stadium after that game, but we don't need to revisit history. Let's get to the question of, and I asked Anthony this earlier, Dusty.
That's less surprising than it raining in
That's a big, it felt good, right? It felt good. It's a big win. I want to ask you the question of rest versus rust, like where that balance is, because I'm having a hard time. I don't know how much last night's game and today's game have to do with the fact that Arizona State and Boise State are just overmatched, right? That we can all probably acknowledge. But they also look a little rusty early. That balance of you want to be fresh. It seems like they're the healthiest they've been all year, but they haven't played a game in nearly a month, and you're just like a slow start can doom you in a big-time game like this. Where do you fall on that balance, and how do you think Oregon has handled the last couple of weeks to try and overcome any obstacle that arises?
Yeah, that's really tough, right? Because we always talk about that in the NFL. We really don't have to talk about that in the world of college football until this year, is that rest versus rust thing. But I think that we talked a lot about that 8-week gauntlet, right, in all conference games all the way through. And then they had that bye week so late in the year. What happened the very next game, though? They came out and they looked as sharp as ever against UW, right? And so I think having that bye week at the end of the season, that actually could benefit Oregon a little bit more, right? We were talking about you could do some self-scouting and then get back at it and play 2 games, and then you get to have another rest. But I think the mentality and how you attack as Dan Lanning calls them, work weeks, not bye weeks, the approach to those weeks, I think that having it so close to, just a couple of weeks ago, that may benefit them. So it's like, hey, how you prepare and how you do it. But there really is. There's a rhythm to playing football. And, not playing in, 25 days, is it?
Yeah.
That can hurt your rhythm. And Ohio State looked as good as ever when they had a little bit of a layoff and then had Tennessee. So they are going to be healthy, though, and I think that's the big one. They're going to be healthy. They didn't play, 100 less snaps than Ohio State has in the last 10 days. So I'm expecting them to come out sharp, but it's going to be a big question that there's an unknown because we just don't know how these teams are going to react and what the trend is going to be.
Well, let's add to that, Dusty. What does Oregon need to do to win this football game?
I went on with the Dirt and Sprague yesterday morning, and I said it sounds so cliche, right? But it is, in the game that is in the margins, it really does come down to taking care of the football and running the football. With those two things in great games where you have so thin of a margin between talent and two really well-coached teams, it comes down to who gives the other team more opportunities, right? And that's what the last matchup of these two came down to. I think that we look at the star players, and they're going to perform, but it comes down to take care of the ball, be able to run the football, and then who's the role player that's going to step up and have a game, right? Like the last time, the 2014 college football playoff here in the Rose Bowl, right? It's Tony Washington after Jameis Winston looked like he slipped on a banana peel, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's guys that they're not the star player. They're guys we know, but they come up and they make the big play. And who is that going to be in this game? Because it's got to be somebody that we don't hear from a lot. First game, Evan Stewart, right? Mm-hmm. Evan Stewart, high expectations, but he hasn't been the guy who's been the workhorse. He's a big reason why the Ducks won that game last time. The turnover battle, Derek Harmon ripping the ball out of Quinshon Judson's hands. That was a big factor. They were driving down to score, and boom, the game flips on its head. So to me, it's kind of the cliche stuff, but that's going to be the determining factor in a game like this.
Yeah, it really comes down to like 5 to 7 plays in big-time matchups like this, and can you win as many of those as you possibly can? Dusty Hara, every Monday through Friday right here on the Fan 12 to 3. The Sideline reporter, obviously, is going to be on the call today for the game. We'll send it down to them in Pasadena here in a bit, and go check out the program podcast where they most recently had Josh Wilcox on, one of our favorites. Go touch the grass again for us. Try to not puke outside the stadium tonight. Have a wonderful time, buddy, and we'll catch up again soon.
Yeah, I got to go put some sunscreen on. So,
okay.
Bastard, you bastard.
Okay.
All right, later, Dusty.
All right, fellas, have a good one.
Yeah, there you go. The sun is shining down there. You know what? It's shining in my heart, damn it, because we get a Rose Bowl today. We get a Rose Bowl today.
That's right.
Looks like the latest update, I believe Texas just kicked a field goal, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check here. Yeah, they're doing like a weird. They did just. They're doing a weird highlight montage showing all of this stuff that happened.
Okay.
So 17-3 is your score. Texas leads Arizona State with 8:54 to go in the second quarter. Let's take some looks at other scores around the country, including this one. We'll let you know how this game has gone if you're just jumping in your car. Texas and Arizona State in the second quarter. Some other finals from yesterday, including the Huskies. That is next. We're continuing to roll on here. Ducks pregame show on 1080 The Fan.
Excuse me, 43 and cloudy here in Portland, 66 sunny in Pasadena. Ducks game day forecast calling for some showers off and on this evening, overnight into the morning for the 2 o'clock kick at the Rose Bowl. 69, partly cloudy skies, just a very slight breeze. I'm Jeff Rust with Ducks Game Day weather every 10 minutes, brought to you by Victor Rico's Mexican Food. Order Victor Rico's for your game day celebration in-store or online for pickup or delivery at victorricos.com.
Coors Light presents Ducks Game Day. Mountain cold refreshment. Choose chill. Celebrate responsibly.
Now going to go deep. Boys got him down there. Catch made. Keep your balance. Touchdown, Oregon.
It's time for the Ducks Game Day scoreboard with previews and scores from around the country on your home for Oregon Ducks football, the Odyssey app, and 1080 The Fan.
All right, we'll take a look at the scores around the country. Just want to give you a further update. So, just tragic news in the world today, and it impacts college football. There was a deadly attack in New Orleans late last night. The death toll is up to 15 people as a person in a truck drove through a crowd on Bourbon Street. And if you're just jumping in your car, they have officially announced they're going to postpone the Sugar Bowl tonight. They're trying to figure out all what's happening. Is it a is there more to come? They're calling it an act of terrorism. So those are really all the details that we have right now. But what we do know is that Georgia and Notre Dame will not be played tonight. There is reporting out there that they have moved the game to tomorrow night. So just some news out there to keep you updated on the schedule today and how it impacts the college football world. Let's take a look at this game that's going on. I've given score updates, but 17-3 is your score. Texas and Arizona State. Cam Scatterbo, 12 carries for 44 yards. So he's averaging less than 4 yards a carry. Doing a decent job bottling him up. Really the story of the game, one, Texas returned a punt for a touchdown. And this will make you hurt, Beaver fans, but it was Silas Bolden that did it, the transfer from Oregon State. Ran one back for a tutty, and they're just torching Arizona State secondary, which if you're a Texas fan, that's music to your ears, because I think the concern about them is their passing game.
Yep.
I don't know how much of this is them clicking and finding the right gear, how much of this is Arizona State's defense not being very good. But the story of the game early is Quinn Ewers, 114 passing yards in the first half, outplaying Sam Levitt early.
Yep.
Looks like Arizona State's driving it a little bit here. Towards the end of the half, they got a 2nd and 10 in Texas territory, down 17-3, so a score will go a long ways, making that a more competitive ball game in the second half.
Well, the speed is the difference. Texas is fast. Offense and defense. Their defense is flying around.
Flying around making plays.
They can run. They can really run.
They can. And Arizona State's still missing their top wide receiver, which is tough for them to overcome. 1,000-yard wide receiver out for the game.
Yeah, that hurts.
Let's get to one other quick update from yesterday. I gave you some of the other finals. Talking about the Big Ten games earlier. Didn't mention much. Washington played in the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl yesterday.
Tony the Tiger.
For those who were hanging around. They're great. Their offense was great. Their defense was not great. They gave up 35 points to Louisville. They did score a touchdown with 10 seconds to go. Had a nice little comeback. They were down 35, I believe 21 going into the fourth quarter. Scored a couple of touchdowns. They went for 2 with 9 seconds to go in the game. Did not get the 2-point conversion. So they lost to Louisville yesterday, 35-34. And Jed Fish finishes off his first year 6-7. One player of note that I know Husky fans are all fired up about, Damon Williams, who we saw down at Otts a couple weeks ago.
That's right.
He was 26 of 32, 374 yards, 4 touchdowns. He did throw a pick 6 on the opening drive of the game. He also added 48 rushing yards on top of that. So he had a really nice game for a true freshman. They're going to try and build around him. Jed Fish had comments after the game saying this guy's going to be in New York someday. Okay, but they feel good about their freshman quarterback.
I like him. He's hard to game plan against because he's a quarterback who can run. And what they say about him, he's not he has a lot of speed, but he has track speed.
Yep.
That's why he's so dangerous. He can really run. He's not fast for a quarterback. He's fast for a football player.
Just fast as an athlete. Just fast.
He's just fast.
Fast, period.
And so then now you have to account him in your equation of stopping the guys on offense. And the quarterback, you usually don't account for him. But now you have to with a guy who can run faster than anybody on your football team.
They're going to build around him this offseason. Damon Williams, a good game, but the Huskies lost. Finished Jed Fish's first year 6-7, losing the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. We'll take a look around some of the other games in the college football world and continue to look at Oregon and Ohio State. That is coming up next on 1080 The Fan.
It's 42 and cloudy here in Portland, 67 and sunny in Pasadena. Ducks game day forecast calls for some showers off and on this evening and overnight into the morning. For the 2 o'clock kick at the Rose Bowl, 69, partly cloudy skies, just a very slight breeze. I'm Jeff Rust with Ducks game day weather every 10 minutes. Brought to you by Victor Rico's Mexican Food. Order Victor Rico's for your game day celebration in store or online for pickup or delivery at victorricos.com.
Ducks Game Day continues with a look around the nation, a view of the college football playoff and bowl game landscape. Brought to you by Window Nation. This month, save 50% off all window styles, plus pay nothing with no interest for 2 years. Go to windownation.com for a free no-obligation quote or call 866-90-NATION.
Well, as we take a look around the nation, brought to you by Window Nation, it should be noted again that Oregon, if they are to win today against Ohio State, would get the winner of Texas and Arizona State, which, by the way, that game, yes, you guessed it, happening in Dallas, Texas.
Here we go.
So, not like there's another scheduling disadvantage there for whoever ends up winning this game, because Texas isn't from the state of Texas. They don't have any fans in Dallas, I'm sure. There's no fans of Texas.
Neutral site game.
Neutral site game.
Neutral
Definitely
site game.
A neutral site game. No advantage there whatsoever playing in Dallas, Texas, man. As we continue to look around the nation, we've kind of done that. I think the eyes of the nation today, more so maybe even than earlier, because of the postponement of the Sugar Bowl, which is officially announced, by the way, will happen tomorrow, same time, 5:45 tomorrow night. Georgia and Notre Dame will play. I think the eyes of the nation will be on Oregon and Ohio State more so than ever, man. This is the game that everybody's excited for. You had a dud last night. Penn State beats up on Boise State, bottles up Genty. They scored a touchdown to start the second half. You're like, all right, maybe there's something there, but there's nothing else offensively after that, and they pull away and win by 17. This is the game that I think everybody's looking at and saying, we need a good game here. First round, mostly blowouts. Last night, a blowout. Texas up 17-3 in the first half. The college football fans are desperate for a back. I would love another blowout as long as it's Oregon winning today. But they're desperate for a tight contested matchup today between Oregon and Ohio State, which I think it will, man. I'm so excited for the opportunity for this program and for Lanning, who has finally got some big wins under his belt, beating Ohio State, winning the Big Ten championship. Man, those pale in comparison to what a win would mean today for this program, for that head coach.
And this is what Dan Lanning says, is the opportunity. So everybody's complaining about the format and then who they have to play, but if they go and just wipe everybody out, beat everybody, and win the whole thing,
and nobody better say a word.
What can you say
if that happens?
Yeah, so you're playing Ohio State twice and you beat them, and then you go to the Cotton Bowl and it's in Texas, and Texas is playing, and home field advantage. Oh yeah, okay, it's in Texas. Then you beat them. And then it's either Notre Dame or Georgia.
Hey, if it is Georgia, you know where the national championship game is this year?
Atlanta.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay.
Checking on that
there's
one.
an opportunity to be great.
There really is, man. Nobody in the history of college football, for obvious reasons, because we need to play this many games, nobody's ever been 16-0 before. Never happened.
Yeah.
So if Oregon is able to run the table, starts today, you got to beat Ohio State. It's a tall task, no doubt about it. If you're able to run the table, you'd be the first and only 16-0 undefeated team. Clemson was the first ever 15-0 team in the expanded playoff with 4 teams. They got to 15 wins. Nobody had done that before. And Oregon has a chance to be the first 16-0 team. We get closer and closer, man. The pictures are rolling in from everybody down in L.A., in Pasadena, the Rose Bowl. God, it looks beautiful.
I will say, apropos of nothing, and it's a weird day down there in New Orleans with all the stuff that's going on. But I remember being in Arizona. It was for the national championship game when Oregon played
Auburn,
and that was a day where it was Gabby Giffords when she got shot.
Oh, that's right.
That was that weekend.
That's right.
And so things got wrapped down super tight.
Yeah, you tighten everything up around there, man. A lot of security.
I didn't have the right credential to get into the stadium, and so I did not get into the stadium.
Not going in. That's the way it's going to work.
I sat in the media hospitality suite with all the fine folks from Tostitos. I had some beer and some chips and dip, and I was the only one in there with all those fine folks. But yeah, that's how I watched. Michael Dyer was still down.
He is still down. We all know that. Still down. Look around the world, look around the nation is brought to you by Window Nation. This month, save 50% off all window styles, plus pay nothing with no interest for 2 years. Go to windownation.com for a free, no-obligation quote or call 866-90-NATION. That's windownation.com. The game to watch is obviously Oregon-Ohio State. A couple more thoughts on this, the matchup, the way that it looks. Joey Harrington coming up in a bit. Mike Jorgensen coming up in a bit. We're back after this on 1080 The Fan.
Other than our game, of course.
Never a good look when your conference champion can't beat like an 8-4 team from the SEC.
This is the game to watch on your home for Ducks football, the Odyssey app, and 1080 The Fan.
The game to watch is easily the one down in Pasadena, California today. You are looking live. Everybody here is Keith Jackson, Brent Musburger. Classic Rose Bowl games. I will ask you, by the way, Anthony, I'm curious to get what game it is for you. When I say Rose Bowl, what's the first game that you think? Is it an Oregon game, or you go back to like a game as a kid, the first time you remember seeing a Rose Bowl? First game you think of when I say Rose Bowl?
No, it's the game that Ohio State played Oregon.
2009?
No, yeah, 2009.
Yeah.
And the reason why it was that game, because everybody was so excited playing Ohio State, right? And we were down there, and the kids and the family were all down there having a good time doing some stuff, and seeing a lot of Oregon fans. When I got to the stadium, I was like, wow, there's a lot of red here.
There's a lot of Ohio State
I'm like,
fans
this
here.
is different football. And then, no, check this out. So then I'm on the field, and I'm seeing Oregon come out. Yeah, okay. And Ohio State came out.
Yeah.
That was a different team at the time. Terrell Pryor was back then.
He was a quarterback, that's right.
That defensive line was gigantic. The offensive line, I'm like, this is bigger than an NFL team. Yeah. Like, there's no – and Oregon was built different then. It wasn't like – that was Chip Kelly was
Tempo,
running the show.
Speed.
Yes. Yeah. You had some offensive linemen about 275. Now.
A little bit different now.
That's a different game.
It is so true, man. Some of those games historically for Oregon, I remember I was at that game too, and just seeing the size of Ohio State, like, ooh, that's a different animal. Yes. I remember being in Atlanta a couple years ago when they played Georgia in Lanning's first game, where it was the same thing, walking around on the field, like, oh my God, this is like Oregon's big and they got size, but man, you ain't even close to that.
This is different.
You're about to get body bagged in the line of scrimmage. By the way, quick, Arizona State was going to punt with 2 minutes to go in the first half. They just faked a punt and they picked up a first down in their own territory. So there's Kenny Dillingham saying, dude, we're getting blown out right now. We got to find some way to keep in this game. They just faked a punt. Punter threw a nice pass from his own 10-yard line.
Are you kidding me?
And they converted it. So Arizona State's drive will continue about midfield with 2 minutes to go.
Lineman.
Yeah, they caught the ball. Let's throw it to that guy. That should work out. One of the things I wanted to ask you about, and then we'll get to Joey Harrington coming up here in a moment. But quickly, how you would go about trying to stop, or is there a way to try and stop Jeremiah Smith, who just seems to be such an animal? He's 6'3", 225. He just is, I mean, he might, if he could come out now, he might be the number 1 overall pick of the draft. But he's a true freshman. He's got way 2 more years to get there. Is it just take what he's gonna get you, so you might as well just take what you can give, or how do you go about trying to handle
when
that
you
guy?
go against those type of players? They're going to get theirs. You can't stop them. Now you can try to contain them a little bit, slow them down. And then you can try to do some double teams where you take a corner and a safety over the top, or you take an outside linebacker, walk and stand over him, jam him at the line of scrimmage with the corner over the top to slow him down a little bit. But then that takes away from stopping the running game because now you take an outside linebacker out of the box. So you can do some different things. You still got to do what helps you win football games, what you've been doing for, you're 13-0. Is play your game. Now, you notice sometimes, here's what happens. Jeremiah Smith will go to the weak side of the offense. So there's 3 receivers to one side, and he's to the weak side. He's by himself. And he knows that Oregon, when they play man or some kind of zone, that backside guy, that single receiver guy, they're manned up one-on-one. And he understands that. And Ohio State understands that. Yeah. So that will be interesting to watch to see if Oregon's going to stay man, have their corners, and they got corners who can cover them, but still, the dude, he's a dude.
There's only so much you can do.
He's a dude.
Yeah.
I mean, and this game is made for offense to win. Defensive backs don't have a chance trying to cover guys because you can't touch them. So that's why it's hard. So I see a safety kind of. The safeties that need to understand where is number 4. I think he's number 4. He's number 4.
Number 4, yeah.
Yeah, where's number 4? I need to watch him. I need to find him and make sure, even though we don't have a double team, watch to see where he's at. Exactly.
Keep an eye on that guy, man, because he's a hell of a player. Let's hear from Joey Harrington, legendary quarterback for the Ducks, his conversation with Isaac and Suk. That is next on 1080 The Fan.
Have you
Very kind of you to say. I would call myself somebody who's been around for a long time and wants to tell some nice stories.
Here with Isaac and Suk on The Fan is Joey Harrington. Brought to you by Mods PDX. The future of building is here.
What holds you back from thinking the Ducks win it all?
Okay. I'm going to give a tangible example of what holds me back.
We like tangibles.
Name the 2 teams, and we're going to eliminate high school because I don't know all the high schools around the country, but college and NFL. Name the 2 teams that have ever gone 16-0.
The Miami Dolphins and the New England Patriots, right? Or the Dolphins did.
Exactly.
Yeah, the Dolphins
Yes,
did.
they did.
I was like, they played 14 regular season games and then the playoffs.
Yeah, they won't shut up about it.
Yep. Exactly. Okay, so my point is, one of those teams finished the regular season, finished the entire season. They were done 16-0.
Yeah.
The other one finished the regular season 16-0. And I would argue, of the 6 championships that the Patriots won, that 08 team that didn't win was the best of all of them.
I would agree.
And so why didn't they win? Well, because David Tyree caught a ball on his head, and because it is so freaking difficult to go 16 to win every single game from start to finish. It is damn near impossible. One team in NFL history has done that. Clemson went 15-0 one of the years where they won their championship. And so arguably the greatest team, at least talent-wise, in the history of the NFL went 16-0 and couldn't finish it out because it's so dang hard. So I'm sitting here and thinking, man, we've heard all year long that there's no dominant team in college football. There's no pure, clear-cut number one. Wrong. It's the Oregon Ducks. Hands down, it's the Oregon Ducks right now. And the fact that they have to go 16-0 in order to wrap this thing up, that gives me the most pause. It's not a matchup thing. It's not a, of course, injuries, we saw what it did to Ohio State. But that is the thing. It is so hard to do what they have to do in order to win it.
Yeah, and I think that's what's popping up with people. It's it can't be this easy. They're just, everything's working out. And it just can't be this easy, but maybe it will. By the way, you forgot one 15-0 team, college team.
One 15-0. Clemson went 15-0.
Well, there's another one.
What's went 15?
Did Bama do it? Oh, no. Last
State?
year it was Michigan. No?
LSU.
Oh.
Joe Burrow.
Dude, that team was a buzz.
2019, they went 15-0.
Well, but I don't need to know 15-0 because I was only talking about 16-0.
Well, I know, but
7-minute abs versus 8-minute abs. You can't even get a good workout in 7
These go to 11.
Yeah.
Mods PDX, the future of building is here.
Make 2025 the year you get started on your next success with the University of Maryland Global Campus. An accredited state university, UMGC is a school for real life, helping working adults like you learn the skills you need for the career you want. Choose from more than 135 degrees and certificates in career-relevant fields and earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's for prior learning and life and work experience. Or transfer up to 12 credits toward a master's. We offer scholarships, affordable tuition, and online and hybrid classes, all with the support you need from your first day to graduation day and beyond. Get a head start on your goals in the new year. Now is the perfect time to take the next step in your life and education at University of Maryland Global Campus. Apply now and save with no application.
Presents Ducks Game Day. Mountain cold refreshment. Choose chill. Celebrate responsibly.
Oh, what a throw. What a catch. What a catch. Terrence Ferguson.
Pacific Office Automation presents The Clear Advantage. A look at the players and units that match up well for the Ducks. Pacific Office Automation has your office game plan. Visit them today for a full technology assessment at pacificoffice.com.
Well, as we look at the clear advantage, one thing that Anthony brought up earlier, hey, we never talk about special teams.
No, we don't.
Looms pretty large in games. Texas has a punt return for a touchdown, and they just blocked a field goal at the end of the first half.
Thank you.
There is a 10-point swing for you right there on special teams. So that score at halftime will be 17-3, Texas with the lead over Arizona State. Arizona State, they're on the 10-yard line or so.
Yeah.
Just had a field goal block. That is absolutely brutal. Clear advantage, what's the biggest advantage for you for Oregon today?
Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah. Simple and easy.
Quit. Yep. Let's move on.
Simple. Yep. I agree.
Dylan Gabriel. He is the man.
He's got to be the dude today, and I think he will be the dude today. Pacific Office Automation has your office game plan. Visit them today for a full technology assessment at pacificoffice.com. Pacific Office Automation, problem solved. Let's talk to Mike Jorgensen, shall we? That is coming up next. You got the Ducks pregame show, but now it's time for Ducks Game Day weather every 10 minutes. Brought to you by Victorico's Mexican Food. Order Victorico's for your game day celebration in-store or online for pickup or delivery at victoricos.com. Here's Jeff Rust.
Look, it's 43 and cloudy here in Portland, 68 and sunny in Pasadena, like it always is. Ducks game day forecast calls for some showers off and on this evening, overnight into the morning for the 2 o'clock kick at the Rose Bowl. 69, partly cloudy skies, just a very slight breeze. I'm Jeff Rust with Ducks game day weather every 10 minutes, brought to you by Victor Rico's Mexican Food.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes Repair Clinic.
On the Odyssey app and 1080 The Fan.
All right, let's talk to the color analyst of the Oregon Ducks, a guy we can always count on to wear shorts, especially in Southern California weather. Mike Jorgenson joining us now, Jorgie_Mike on Twitter. Go give him a follow. Go ahead, Jorgie. It's raining. It's cold here. Tell us about how nice it is down there.
He just laughing.
That is an evil villain laugh right there.
That's terrible.
That belongs in a scary movie right there.
Andy, I just tried to send you a picture, and it's taken a while to go through, and I know you would have been pissed if you'd have seen it before we got on the call. Kind of glad it didn't arrive yet.
Oh, it'll pop up during the segment. Oh, God. Well, thanks for that, Jorgie. I appreciate that. Let's get to the game, shall we? I mean, look, so many different ways you could attack this. Just the emotions that you're going through. Round two, such a classic the first time, everything on the line. But just how you feeling right now, Jorgie?
Oh, well, nervous, no doubt about it. I think the closer it gets to kickoff and when it gets into the game, I think these two teams are so well suited to play against each other in a close game, in a hard-fought game, everything that goes with it, that I just think it's going to be one of those types of games where you can't relax. And the blood pressure is going to be high all the way through. But, this place, guys, just never gets old. It is. Yeah. You can go to all the indoor stadiums and all the bowls you want to go to. There is nothing like the Rose Bowl, and it just gives you chills as soon as you come down into the valley and you see it and you walk on the field and the way that the field feels. And it's just, there's nothing like it. And so thankful to be here. Pretty cool stuff.
Jorgie, I think this game, and this game's going to be won in the trenches. And Andy was talking about this earlier in the show. Ohio State has two backups that are playing. They lost their two starters. And then you look at Oregon, they have a guy who didn't play in the trenches the first time, Jordan Birch. So does that make a difference? What's going on in the trenches there for you?
Well, the trenches can be a big part of this game, no doubt about it. Ohio State, I think, found a way to work around that with Tennessee last week or 2 weeks ago when they decided to play outside in first, right? Get the defensive linemen, the linebackers chasing outside with all the short screens, hit some big plays, and had a really, top-notch defensive line on their heels a little bit because they didn't know what was coming next, and then they punched them with a few runs. And that, and you look at the difference between Chip Kelly's game plan with Michigan and what he did with Tennessee, it's night and day. And so the next today, I wouldn't doubt it if he gets to get some of the athletes out in the open space and play some of that game where you got predetermined throws from Will Howard, where he doesn't have to make a whole lot of decisions, doesn't have to worry about a defensive line pressure for Oregon, but it's, guys, it's always going to go back. If you can run the ball, it's going to make it really miserable and tough for the opposing team's defense. So both teams are going to try to do today. You look at the running backs, they're evenly matched. George James has over 1,000 yards. You add up all the yards between the two backs that play a lot in these games, almost dead even. So it's going to be pretty fun. A good matchup, but the trenches, it's going to be the biggest part of this game.
Yeah, we saw in the first matchup, too, where Ohio State unable to run the ball efficiently in the second half. Oregon was able to do it, and that was one of the big reasons why Oregon was able to come out on top and win that game. You're a former quarterback, Georgie. There's something about Dylan Gabriel in a big game that it's hard for me to find another guy that I've had that much confidence and trust in of you need to drive, you need to play, you need to make a throw. He's going to find a way to get it done. What is it about him that kind of enables him to be able to make those plays? And how confident are you in number 8 going into this matchup?
Boy, Andy, I tell you what, that was the discussion that everybody was having last night is what's the difference between these two offenses, and I think it's Dylan Gabriel. Just based on how calm, cool, and collective he is in these types of games and these types of situations. I think as the season went on, particularly after that Michigan State game where he threw late balls, picks in the red zone, that didn't happen as the season went on. And when he entered into big games, he was the steadying force, not only for the offense, but for the team, period. And he's one of those type of leaders who I think is just really calm about the way he approaches it. Bo Nix last year, if you want to compare the two, very fiery, would get after guys to make sure they were in the right place. And, almost like an irate coach would. That's not the way that Dylan Gabriel goes about it, and the players would respond to it well. So he's going to be probably the top key to this game. I mean, we talked about line of scrimmage and everything else. It's the way Dylan Gabriel plays today is really going to be the difference between Oregon winning and losing, probably.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I'll get you out on this one, Georgie, as we get set to send it down to you guys here just in a few moments. I asked Dusty this earlier. I asked Anthony this as well. I'm curious where you come down on the rest versus rust conversation where you're off for a long time, but it's great to be healthy. Ohio State's played a game, but they're maybe a little bit more banged up than you, and how hard that is to overcome. And are there any things that you look for early in a game that could signify rust or, hey, they're just rested and they're ready to go?
Yeah, I mean, to me, the 3-week plus rest is a little bit tougher than the 2-week rest. I'd rather have 2 weeks of rest. The week in between, where you're able to kind of do some things with some guys, and then you get back into game mode pretty quickly. This has been a little longer time off for Oregon. I'm not a big fan of it, frankly.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's a break, and frankly, I think the playoffs and all teams are glad they get at least a 1-week break. But some of the things I think that you can look for in this game is the both people play. And guys, I got to tell you, when you play, if you're offense, playing Oregon's defense every single day, and they go hard, and they don't shy away from contact in practice, you get tested every single day by the level of defense that you're going to see from Ohio State. So I just don't know what signs there would be that I would really point to that would show rust, because these guys were out there working out, doing everything they do. And I got to tell you guys, Dan Lanning has them focused.
Yeah.
I've never seen a group so focused with this much time off. They just put it in on this game and look to respond early.
Yeah, love to hear that. Mike Jorgenson, color analyst of the Oregon Ducks, Georgie_Mike on Twitter. Go give him a follow. Getting ready to call the game. Your text coming through. I'm going to look at, wonderful sunshine all the afternoon. Thank you for that, Georgie. Enjoy the weather. Enjoy the game, buddy. We all can't wait, and we'll catch up again soon, okay?
Okay, guys. Thanks for being on.
All right. There you go. Mike Jorgenson, color analyst of the Oregon Ducks, getting ready to go down in Pasadena, California. What's at stake? We're almost done here. We're going to wrap things up here over the next 10 minutes and then send you down to sunny Los Angeles, or sunny Pasadena, I should say, as we get ready for the Rose Bowl. Back after this on The Fan.
make some picks.
How do you feel about this weekend? Do you rent that yacht? No, I own it. That's how I feel about this weekend.
It's time for What's at Stake as the Ducks Game Day hosts look at the most impactful games in college football.
Well, What's at Stake, as always, brought to you by Laurelhurst Market. More than just your friendly neighborhood steakhouse. Make your reservation today at laurelhurstmarket.com. Make sure you listen to the Pacific Office Automation postgame scoreboard show coming up after the game today. Hopefully we're all happy and calling in and celebrating and reacting. And I mean, what's at stake is everything, Anthony.
Yes,
everything
is.
is at stake. This is your season, could come to an end in a matter of hours, or you're finding out, hey, we got a trip to Dallas coming up and we're going to play what looks like it will be Texas, although there is still a second half to play in the Peach Bowl there in Atlanta. But what's at stake, man, is easily the biggest win for the program in a decade, since the last time you were in the college football playoff and you beat Florida State. No disrespect to the Wisconsin Rose Bowl win or last year's Fiesta Bowl. There's been some great teams and some great wins. This would be the best one you've had in a very, very long time.
And also, I believe, shut the country up. Everybody's talking about Ohio State.
Yeah.
Let's shut up.
Just go shut them up.
Just shut them up. That's what I get. I love you.
Yes, that's such a good way to say it, man. Just shut everybody up, man. I'm so tired of hearing all this Ohio State garbage.
Yes. Is it America's team?
Yeah, what the hell?
Come on.
I'm with you, buddy. I'm with you. What's at stake is everything.
Let's hope that this America's team goes like the way the Dallas Cowboys do, too.
That's right. That's right. Go play like the Cowboys today. If Ohio State does that, we got a shot to win this one. What's at stake again, brought to you by Laurelhurst Market. Our final segment of the show, our final thoughts, our score predictions as we send you on your way down to Pasadena, California. We'll wrap it up on our side next on The Fan.
Coors Light presents Ducks Game Day. Mountain cold refreshment. Choose chill. Celebrate responsibly. Ducks Game Day on The Fan is also brought to you by Mods PDX. The future of building is here.
Last one for us, and then we got to go sit around with all this nervous energy until the game kicks off. It is funny because the first time these teams played, we were down at Autzen Stadium, obviously. It was a home game, and I felt bad for Anthony because I think I might have cracked a couple of your ribs. We were sitting next to each other in the press box. Every time one of those Dylan Gabriel deep shots is happening, I was giving you the Jimmy elbow. It's kind of, there he is, he's open. So we'll be watching this one separate, but look, man, I'm going to take the Lanning approach that I opened the show with. It's a privilege. We all got that nervous, anxious energy, and everything's on the line. But man, it's better than being 6-6 and playing in the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl in a bowl game you don't care about.
Thank you.
I can't wait for today, man. I can't wait.
Well, I think Oregon has the better team. I really do. That's why I feel confident. I'm nervous, but I feel confident. Oregon has a better team. They got more dudes, and I think they will play like they can, meaning knowing it's a big game, they will show up.
Yeah.
A lot of teams don't show up in big games. A lot of players, they kind of fall apart.
Shy away from the moment, yeah.
Yes, and Dylan Gabriel, the leader of that pack, he's going to take him to another level.
Yeah.
I believe it.
I mean, I said earlier this week, why wouldn't I feel confident? Oregon's played 13 games. They've won them all. I understand it's hard to go undefeated, and maybe somebody trips them up at some point, but they've given you no reason to at this point in the year, and just beat Penn State in the Big Ten championship game and hung nearly 100 on them. I think the biggest encouragement I've had late in the year for them going back to the Washington game. Now, Washington's defense is doo-doo, but Penn State's supposed to have a good defense, and they bottled up Genty last night.
Right.
You hung nearly 100 on them.
Yeah, that's
you
right.
moved Gabriel, torched them. Tez Johnson, torched them. They had no answers for you.
That's right.
Couldn't get to Gabriel, so that's a good defense that you were able to execute against.
Yeah.
You got to go do it again today. But the last thing I wanted to touch on before we wrap up and go down to Pasadena, and I think this is something.
The Huskies lost by 1?
The Huskies did lose their bowl game. Yes, they did.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, we can always joke about that.
Yeah, that's always good.
But it is, I think one of the things that maybe Lanning learned that I'm curious to see Ohio State handles. Will Howard had a quote this week where he said, "We got to come out and play angry. We got to play with this chip on our shoulder, something to prove, and all this." And Lanning, I go back to the messaging he had for the guys in the week of the Ohio State game the first time. Emotions don't win football games, man. They don't. I mean, it's great. You can be fired up. You can be pissed off. That's all great.
Thank you.
What wins football? You got to execute. You got to go execute. And
that's right.
That's what whoever executes more is going to win the game today because these are two evenly matched teams. Be as angry as you want. I trust Oregon to execute today.
The emotions last one play.
Yeah.
And then you have to play football.
Then you got to go play.
Now you got to go play.
You got to catch, you got to block, you got to run, you got to tackle. The emotions are going to help you catch a football.
Not at all. Not at all.
They get it done today?
Yes, they do.
You're damn right they do.
Yes, they do.
I'll give you 34-20.
You're damn right.
34-28. How about that? 34-28.
That's a good one.
There's my score prediction for today.
I like that.
Good luck, everybody. Good luck to the Ducks. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Happy New Year to everybody out there. Oregon, Ohio State, round 2, coming up 2 o'clock right here on The Fan from the granddaddy of them all. For Jeff Russ, Anthony Newman, I'm Andy Johnson. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Enjoy all the football today. We'll send you down to Pasadena next on 1080 The Fan.
Oregon Ducks football on 1080 The Fan is brought to you by Coors Light, Pacific Office Automation, Mods PDX, Victor Rico's Mexican Food, Legends Casino Hotel in Toppenish, by Zoom Care, Bellagio's Pizza, Multnomah County Behavioral Health Division, Audi Wilsonville, Laurelhurst Market, by Unitas Community Credit Union, and by Langdon Farms Golf Club. Join us after the game for the Ducks post-game scoreboard show on your home for Oregon Ducks football. 1080 The Fan.
Uh, 43, partly cloudy here in Portland, 68, sunny in Pasadena. Ducks game day forecast calls for some showers off and on this evening and overnight into the morning for the 2 o'clock kick at the Rose Bowl. 69, partly cloudy skies, just a very slight breeze. I'm Jeff Russ with Ducks Game Day weather every 10 minutes, brought to you by Victor Rico's Mexican Food. Order Victor Rico's for your game day celebration in store or online for pickup or delivery at victorricos.com.
Looking for a better primary care experience? Welcome to Zoom Care. Zoom Care is here for more than urgent needs. We can be your PCP too. Our primary care team has grown and is currently accepting new patients. Don't wait for the care you need. You can have your first visit with one of our many providers within 48 hours. And we take most insurances. Why wait weeks for an appointment when you can be seen today? Learn more about establishing primary care at zoomcare.com. Zoom Care. Beyond better healthcare.
Hey guys, it's Jim Costa from Cash the Ticket. If you're planning on betting the NFL playoffs, buckle up. Betting football's hard enough as it is. We're doing the research for you. So listen to Cash the Ticket with Mike Valeni and I. We'll be dropping new episodes for every single playoff game. And that's going to be storylines leading into it, so some good football stuff, but also the betting nuggets you're looking for. Sides, totals, trends, player props, throw those in there too. Pre-game and post-game, we're going to be all over the postseason. Subscribe to Cash the Ticket on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
It's the Vancouver Ford text line. One number does it all. 503-8646-FAN. For contests and text in your favorite fan hosts about today's hot topics. Brought to you by Vancouver Ford. Your dollar goes further at Vancouver Ford. The Vancouver Ford line. That's 503-8646-FAN. Your home for Oregon Ducks football is KFXX KWJJ HD2 Portland.
Touchdown, Oregon.
1080 The Fan, an Odyssey sports station.
This Odyssey Sports broadcast is presented by Health Markets. Shop for health insurance your way.
To put us where we need to be.
Live from the Rose Bowl, this is Duck Football in the College Football Playoff. Welcome to the Oregon Football Pregame Show, brought to you by OCCU, the credit union that gives you more. Oregon football is also brought to you by Pepsi and Bigfoot Beverages. Go Ducks! Drink Pepsi. Les Schwab Tire Centers, doing the right thing since 1952. And by Pacific Source Health Plans, doing what's right, not just what's required. Let's head live now to the Country Financial broadcast booth alongside Mike Jorgensen, here's the voice of the Ducks, Jerry Allen.
Well, it is so cliched, but it's the right thing to say. In the shadow of the San Gabriel Mountains, at the side of the Rose Bowl, it is the next step for your Oregon Ducks as they climb that ladder to the top, hopefully, of the national championship game and then the title of national champions. But one big one to get through here today at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. It's a rematch, Oregon and Ohio State. Oh, my, has this game been looked at and talked about? Jorgie, let's just play it.
Oh, man, the build-up coming into this game has been unbelievable. This place is special. I mean, it never gets old. And I'm not only talking about the stadium doesn't age. I could come here every single year and have the biggest freaking smile on my face that you've ever seen. And that's exactly the way it is this year with two of the top teams, frankly, in the country going head-to-head in this round of the tournament, if you want to call it that. And it should be a great game today, but how special it is to be here, Joey.
Jorgie is like a kid in a candy store.
It's true.
I have said this now to a few different people that the happiest I've ever seen Jorgie is in the Rose Bowls that I have worked with Mike Jorgensen. And the narrative, guys, I mean, you can't write the movie script any better, right? It's the old Pac-12 team against the old Big Ten team against now two Big Ten foes squaring off with each other. And you just can't script it any better. The narrative is off the chart. A rematch of a regular season classic. And now we get to see two of, I think, the best teams in the country square off in the granddaddy of them all.
And you can't ask for a better matchup, right? I know that a lot of people have said a lot about, the draw for the Ducks was bad and it was a tough one. But I love the way that Lanning and the rest of the guys have approached this, which if you're going to want to get to the mountaintop, you've got to play good teams. And there's no easy way to do it. I mean, Dan Lanning said it in one of the first episodes of Ducks versus Them, which was, hey, there's no easy way to being great. The hard way is the only way. And this is going to be an all-timer of a matchup here. If it lives up to the hype and what we already have seen one time this year, we're in for a treat, folks.
Jorgie, it's interesting. Oregon is on the mountain. Not at the top yet this year, but they've been very near the top. This last 25, 30 years has been really interesting. And I'm going to go back to 95 when we first got here to the Rose Bowl in what seemed like forever. And the emotion that we had and shared when we came into the booth to open the show and I couldn't talk. And I looked at you and I said, you do it. And you just like, I can't do it either. It's interesting to see how far this program has come so that now the expectation is every year you should be here.
It's a blue blood, right? I mean, they have become